أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the realm of Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 205.
وإذا تولى سعى في الأرض ليفسد فيها ويهلك الحرث والنسل والله لا يحب الفساد.
And when he turns away, he strives throughout the land to cause corruption therein and destroy crops and livestock, and Allah does not like corruption. This verse is a continuation of the previous one, revealing the true intentions of those who seek to deceive people. They deceive only to achieve their personal interests and serve their desires and whims. Here, Allah Almighty attributes to them a fourth characteristic, which is spreading corruption on earth. Once they gain power, they work to spread corruption instead of reform, wreaking havoc and destruction and ruining crops and livestock without concern for the consequences of their actions. Their true objective was never goodness and righteousness, but rather the fulfillment of their own interests, even at the cost of the ruin of the land and its inhabitants. The scholars of exegesis have pointed out that the phrase, "and when he turns away," carries two possible meanings. Number one, turning away and departing after deceiving people with sweet speech, swearing false oaths and arguing in defense of his claim to righteousness and reform. Number two, turning away in the sense of taking authority and leadership over people, meaning that once he reaches a position of power, his true nature is exposed and his corruption becomes apparent. The verse encompasses both meanings. The one who falsely claims to love goodness, outwardly displays righteousness, swears emphatic oaths, and masters the art of argument and persuasion, once he leaves the gathering and is free to act, his true self is revealed and his hidden intentions become apparent. His desires drive him to pursue his whims without restraint. If he attains his goal, secures his ambition, and rises to a position of power, he does not seek the benefit of the people or establish justice among them. Instead, he uses governance as a means to fulfill his personal desires. At that point, his concern is not reform, but rather spreading corruption on earth in an act of cruelty and harshness, destroying crops, the source of agriculture and fruit and livestock, which represent the continuation of life. Such destruction of life is merely a reflection of the malice, evil, treachery and corruption harbored within this miserable individual. These are traits he once concealed beneath a mask of sweet words, deceptive appearances, and a false display of righteousness, piety, and virtue. Allah Almighty concludes this noble verse with the statement, "And Allah does not like corruption," for several reasons. Number one, to emphasize that Allah does not love those who deceive people, lie about Him, argue and dispute unjustly, go astray despite clear guidance, and seek to spread corruption on earth. Since Allah does not love corruption, He does not love the corrupt. Whoever is not loved by Allah is far from His mercy and exposed to His punishment. Number two, to clarify that Allah, in legislating acts of worship, seeks only the well-being of people and the removal of harm from them. He is the self-sufficient, the praiseworthy, who gains nothing from the worship of a worshipper and suffers no loss from the disobedience of a sinner. Rather, these matters serve only to benefit people and protect them from harm. Number three, this conclusion also highlights that the foundation of Allah's legislation is to establish benefit and remove harm. Every law prescribed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala either brings benefit or removes harm. Moreover, removing harm takes precedence over attaining benefit. And eliminating general harm takes precedence over eliminating specific harm, while securing general benefit takes precedence over securing specific benefit. Additionally, this conclusion points to the fact that Allah has appointed humans as stewards on earth to develop and cultivate it, not to spread corruption. Those who dedicate their intellectual efforts to discovering means of destruction, devastation, and turning the world upside down have strayed from the divine path, opposed the natural law, and distanced themselves from Allah's love. They are those who corrupt rather than reform. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not love corruption or the corrupt. And Allah knows best. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُّدَّكِرٍ